like what would you say was the hardest part of this treatment journey? Would like there's a lot of elements. There's like obviously it's like identity.
Yeah.
Then there's like physical appearance change. Like what would you say was the hardest to accept? And
The change. Yeah.
like yeah, physical everything.
Everything. The change.
Identity,
I think
yeah.
the change was the hardest part. Physical appearance, yeah. Like I look at older episodes and I'm like, oh, okay. Like, but also when I say change, I mean, you change as a person, your environment changes, you're forced to adapt. It's hard. That stuff is hard. Like having to get treatment done, you feel terrible for like a few days, you start feeling better, then you have to go back and get more treatment. That's the worst bit of it, I think, is you see yourself change. Like it's that motion of change. Things are good, well, you're eating well, you're walking well, things are good, you're feeling good. Okay, now you've got treatment again. You got to go through that again, that cycle again. And then you do it again and again. And it's just that stuff mentally is points where you're just like, I just don't want to do this anymore. Like, I just don't want to do this anymore. And you have those moments. Everyone does. But you just push through. Like, again, it's like, what choice do I have? I don't have a choice. Like, you don't, damned if you do, damned if you don't. So pick your poison. Would you rather choose death or poison? And I think in a lot of cases, you would rather choose the poison. It's an unfair reality, but it is what it is. So yeah, I think that's probably the hardest bit, was the change element. And you change as a person as well. You become a bit more bitter. Your mood changes a lot during treatment. You're heavy doses of steroids, not tren or those performance enhancing steroids, prednisone steroids, immunosuppressants, which are known to cause significant side effects as well. You can tell my face is very puffy from it. Just all the water weight that I've gained over time, over the last few months. But yeah, you change as a person. You sort of grieve the old person you were. Like you grieve the pre-cancer person you were and the post-cancer person, and you try to accept the new cancer person. But there's a lot of wisdom and a lot of lessons from that as well. But then there's a lot of insecurities and fear. But then there's a lot of strength. So you just become a new person in a good way. But you also retain like your personality, I think. Like I think I have still who I am, but I think I see things very differently now.
Yeah, I think you haven't changed in terms of personality.
No.
Well, speaking of that as well, would you say you're still in denial of this new identity?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off very quickly there. Yes, big time. Denial, big one. Denial. Everyone's in denial. The big D word, denial. Yes. Yeah. Sometimes you just don't accept it. Like you're like, how did it happen? Why did it happen? How did I get through all of this? Everything's a blur as well. It's weird to say, but everything is such a blur.
Like it all happened so quick and it was just very intense. You just don't.
Yeah, it was like, it was quick. It was very quick. Like it just, all of a sudden I started, and then I was sitting there for the last time and I'm thinking how, like, it all happened. Like, 24 sessions of chemo, over 40 hours of active treatment, 121 days. Like it all just came to an end, and it's like, whoa. Like when you put it in that perspective, minutes and seconds spent there, you're like, whoa, like how many different blood tests, scans, is this all just ends like drastically. It's like, all right, back to normal life. You're like, this is interesting. I can see why some people struggle with that. Like I haven't struggled too much with that. Only because I think going back into the office and the nature of my work as well, it just allows me to switch off the treatment part. It allows me to have a better purpose and more focused on other things. But man, I feel for people that don't have that, they're home, again, if they have kids, like it is a very shit reality to accept. you know, it doesn't hit you until you're walking in the city, for example, and like you have no eyebrows, no hair, and you're like, oh, like I actually look different to everyone else, and you're like, okay, no, you actually went through something, and it just kind of hits you. Um, to this day, I can't look at the color red properly. I can look at that, it's fine, but I can't look at red liquid. Makes you feel nauseated. Um, Sometimes I get the hospital smell that hits me, like out of nowhere. That's just that bleach hospital smell. People might relate to that. Um, Sometimes I still know that beeping sound of that machine. So when the drugs are done, it'll tell you like that's the sound in my head. Got that sound in my head. The way the nurses would check my drugs, ask my name, date of birth, the drugs they're going to administer, the whole process, all like purple gowns, all of that, like it still sticks with you. Even though as much as you try to like forget about it, it does stick with you. But yeah, I think you have moments of denial. It's hard to accept, and it'll take time to accept. I think once I start getting the hair back, all that sort of things, and sort of move forward a bit more, that's when things will probably get better. I think more accepting, but I don't think anyone ever accepts their identity. Like everyone's identity keeps changing as well in life. You know, people go through different sufferings, different things in life, different circumstances, different pain. No one ever comes to peace with their identity. But the only way you find peace is through gratitude and finding the silver lining. And the only way you get gratitude is if you suffer. Like you're not going to be gratitude when your things are good. You're grateful when things are bad. It's very true. And so that's where you find real peace. As ironic as that sounds, you actually find peace in your suffering rather than in happiness.
It's a very interesting paradoxical sentence. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think you're right. Like that's a good point about identity. Like we're always shifting and changing our identity regardless. Like maybe at some point when you reach a certain age, like it doesn't change as much. But I think like you're right. Like ultimately, I think it's more about like accepting the faith, because like whatever it's been handed to you, you have no control over some of those things. So it's just like, yeah, as unfortunate as bad as it is, sometimes you just have to accept. Then you can, I think, be in present and living in the present. Because I feel like some people who deny like whatever's happened to them, they stay stuck in the past, and then they can never really live in the present and move towards the future. I think that is obviously very difficult when you're going through like tragic and like very unfortunate circumstances. But instead of accepting identity, which as you said is always going to change and fluctuate, it's just more of like accepting the fate that's been handed to you, as unfortunate as it is. And maybe for some people, and I'm curious as well, like how you're sort of dealing with that denial of currently what you've gone through. Is it like, you said like gratitude as well? I feel like is it like spirituality, or is there something else that helps sort of give you that greater gratitude as well? Because I assume prior to that, you like looking, if you look before it, like you probably you didn't have as much gratitude as you have now, I guess is the way to put it. And you probably are more like mentally a lot more resilient, etc. Yeah.
Yeah, no, well put. I think every time I don't want to do something, I remind myself that you've sat in a chemo chair 24 times. And you've sat there actively being essentially poisoned or infused with very harsh chemicals. And you've survived that. Like, what if you've gotten through that? That was probably one of the most lowest points in your life. Today you can wake up, you brush your teeth, you shower, go to the bathroom, you wear clothes, nice clothes. You're able to get on public transport, go to the city. You know, one of the most, people will question this, but Sydney City is beautiful. Travel in.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you walk through, you embrace people around you. You can go and eat whatever food you will feel like, whatever you want. you can go sit in an air conditioned office, yap with your colleagues for half the day, get work done. You still like, that's the best part of it. As weird as that sounds, like, as people might say, oh, you're part of the rat race, the corporate thing, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you are. But you can also go sit in a chemo chair and then get out and then feel nauseated, feel absolutely terrible, feel like you don't want to drink water. You feel so sick that you don't even feel like eating. If you move, you feel like you're going to vomit. Would you rather have that? Or would you rather go and sit in a nice air-conditioned office and work? Do you see where I'm going with this? Like, every day you get given a choice on how you want to live your life or how you want to do things. And when you've been at your lowest point, you realized how that was. And then when you don't have to go through that, it's a brand new beginning in a way. And you have full autonomy of having good health, everything working for you. Your legs work, your arms work, your brain works. What more do you need? Right? Like, that's the mentality I sort of rose. I feel okay. My legs work. My arms work. My hands work, even though they tingle, they work. I can hold a pen. I can write on a whiteboard. What more do I want? Right? It's like you need to start accepting the things that are good in your life and not focus on things that are shit in your life. It's as simple as that. Like, and gratitude comes from the fact that you embrace every day as a new day. I'm grateful that I can do these things today. How many people can't do those things? How many people can't afford those things, for example? How many people who live in third world countries can't do those things? So the opportunities you're given and, the accessibility you have to things is a lot greater than a lot of other people. So take advantage of it, I think that's the biggest one, like just being grateful for each day. And you sort of, like, when you've been faced with your own mortality and you've been at your lowest point and your health isn't the greatest, like, when your health is great, you start to embrace that more, and you start to take each day more seriously than you would have in the past. And it's very important to do that. And you don't fear death per se. Of course, you don't want to die, but you don't fear it as much either. Like, you sort of accept it that it's going to happen. Yeah.
Well, like that, when you were saying, like, being sat on a chemo chair instead you're on an office chair, like, when you were saying all of that, I was just like vividly imagining that. Yeah. And I was like, wow, that's a very powerful perspective, because like, and then you're saying, like, you're surrounded by colleagues and coworkers, whereas when you're in the hospital, you're by yourself.
Yeah.
Ruminating.
For sure. Like, it's all your brain thoughts. But I will say one thing, like, the nurses and the people I was treated by were absolutely incredible. Like, Macarthur Cancer Therapy Center, one of the incredible team. Like, the nurses there, the whole team, just like, I can't even put it into words, how great they are and what they were able to do. They made a place where you think is absolutely crap, and it is. There's a lot of sick people. There's a lot of different circumstances people are going through there. You've got a plethora of people. You've got people that are terminal to people that are just there for a few months, people that have been there for years. It's all a range. It's a spectrum, right? And yeah, like, you're right. Like, you're sort of alone in your mind there. In your head is alone, and you're just focused on that treatment element. Whereas at work, you're not focused on that. You can focus on other things, better things. But yeah, it's apparent. Yeah, imagine yourself in a chemo chair, or would you rather be in a chemo chair or an office chair? An office chair for sure, any day. So, now I've got that opportunity. So what's there for me to complain about? Terrible things happen all the time. Just, what are you supposed to do? But I don't think this would apply to someone that's lost their kid or their partner, for example, or, they're dealing, or their kid is sick or anything like that. I would say one thing. There are circumstances in life where it's just unimaginable pain. It's just unimaginable pain. Like, I would not be saying this to someone, advice to just move on and all that, grateful, all of that stuff, to a parent that's dealing with a kid going through cancer, you know, a terminal illness, or they've just lost their child. Like, that sort of grief and how you deal with that is very different. This is purely from a perspective of Gen Z that just went through treatment. So it's very different circumstances. But yeah, I think it applies to about 90% of people, I would say, without a doubt.